Hello and welcome back to Seaside Garage. I just picked up the Renault 25 V6 Turbo from the storage. This is in winter hibernation at the moment. I'm not driving it because there's so much salt on the road. But I would like to try to give it another go on the idle issue that I'm having. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's probably wise to check the playlist on this car out. There is a link down below. But in very short, this got an idle air supply valve that is controlled by the ECU. It's not working. Currently the hose is clamped off to keep the idle from going too high. That means that it can't alter the idle, which means that when it's cold, it can't keep running unless you give it a little bit of throttle. And it's not able to adjust itself. I would like to fix that. I have tried that once before. I changed a small transistor thingy in the ECU and it instantly burned once again. That could be because of the valve. It could be because I did something wrong. I'm going to attempt the same this time around, but I'm going to measure a bit on the idle valve before fitting it. And I'm actually also going to try to fit the old one. More on that later. What I'm going to do is exactly the same as in the previous video. Try to solder in a new IC. This time I actually bought something that should be an upgrade from the old one. I'm going to leave the part number down below. This should be a little bit stronger, but I'm not sure the problem is actually the strength of that little thing. I think something shorted out in the previous attempt. I have been trying to get a spare ECU for this car in case that I burn it completely. For instance, if I short it completely in this video, the car won't be able to start and I will be in big troubles. I did find one, but I did not buy it because it's extremely expensive. Well, maybe not extremely. I think it's 500 euros, but that's way more than I can pull out of the bank at the moment. But now I know if everything really goes wrong today, I have the possibility to buy that and put that in so I can drive it again. But I really hope that I won't mess this up. So firstly, I'm going to remove that ECU. There is the clamp that I was talking about. The idle control valve is there. It's currently unplugged. If I remove that clamp, the idle will be almost around 2000 RPMs, I think. Very high. But over there is the ECU, and I'm just going to remove it. To make it easy, I'm just going to remove the airbox. That will give me a lot more room. In case you haven't noticed, this car is incredibly cool. And in probably not by modern standard, but by my standard, this is also very quick. So this is the thing that we need to open up again. Last time, this one, I took that off because I actually removed that part that we are going to fit because it burned. So I put this here to not lose it. This is just to clamp it to the heatsink. So now I need to open up these small screws, smaller. Are we down on this size? Yep. Here it is, and we need to remove the screws holding this in place. I'm not really sure how big my chance of success is because this is not my strong point. That's one thing. The other thing is that I already attempted once and there is a lot of burn marks now because two small ICs has now burned down here, and I guess that's not great. There we go, it's out. And as you can see, it's burned right there. And it doesn't look great. But firstly, I'm going to try to clean that up. I removed it because it burned so violently. I didn't dare to let it stay in there. And the car is driving just fine without it. It's not a problem. It's just the idle. But I'm going to try to see if I can clean it up a bit. Firstly, what I want to do is to try to unsolder the leftovers from the old IC. And then I'm going to try to clean up the solder path, because I just cut them last time around. So I got all the old pins removed. Now I want to clean up where it fits. There is a chance that I fitted the previous one wrongly and it shorted out. Some of them could have been touching where they were not allowed to. Some of them are actually supposed to touch. These two are supposed to touch, for instance. But yeah, that could be one thing. That could also be something wrong in the print, putting too much power into the IC. But right now I'm just hoping that it's the IC that is wrong and something went wrong in the previous attempt, either on the soldering part or with the old valve. I'm going to do some measurements on the actual valve that the IC controls a little later. This time around I'm going to try to use this kind of stuff that is supposed to suck the solder once it's hot away. Last time I used that suction thingy. This maybe is better, I don't know. No, I'm not really sure how to use this kind of stuff, so I'm just trying. Yeah, it's not working great, I think. I'm gonna use a lot of time trying to get that black stuff off, so I'm just gonna spare you that. Okay, so I did a lot of cleaning, and I'm not happy with it, but I'm not gonna get it any better than this. Got most of the black stuff away. There is something that I really need to take care of right there, because this little tab right there needs to be welded onto one of the prongs on the IC, of course, but it's missing on the backside, so I really need to make sure that it connects. On the backside, it's sort of missing the metal part, so it will be, I need to make sure that the weld runs down and attaches to that down there. And as you can see, these three are connected, and these three over here are connected. They are meant to be, as far as I can see at least, because there is absolutely no, it's a solid piece. So yeah, I'm gonna attempt to solder in, and I actually got a couple of different solutions. I got the correct one, the same as I used last time, but I was advised by someone to use this, the TDA 2004. I think it's an amplifier thing, but it should work, and it should be a little bit stronger. So I'm gonna solder that in. Firstly, I'm gonna fit it. I'm gonna fit this one straight away, like that. And then I'm gonna start the soldering. Okay, so this one fell off completely. That was not supposed to happen. It's really not going to be pretty. It ripped the strip out of the print board. That's why it's very high now. But I think the three of them are connected as they are supposed to be. So that is just how it is. I'm going to do the rest of them. So I think I got that last hard to reach one from the top. So this is horrible looking, but it is as good as I'm going to get it. These are supposed to be connected, by the way, just to recap. Yeah. That right there must be a plug. Yeah. I'm going to connect this back on the car and then put the ignition on and not fit any kind of valve just yet, and just see what happens. So there we go, it's in. Very importantly, the valve is disconnected. So when I put power on this and just put it into ignition, I don't expect anything to happen. In case something do happen, I have some compressed air on the go, just to blow out the fire in case it comes. Ignition on, nothing happens. That's good. Oh well, it's not ignition, it's just battery. I'm gonna put ignition on right now. And then I'm very scared. So far so good, nothing happens. And it's not hot or anything. I'm just gonna try to start it and see if anything happens. By the way, I don't know if you heard, but the fuel pump primed. I take that as a good sign. Let's see if it fires. Yep, it fires up. And there is still nothing burning. Oh, that's good news. This means that nothing has changed. It still works. I have just soldered that thing in. Now we need to figure out if it makes a difference. But I'm gonna remove the valve on the car because I want to do some measurements on that before doing anything else. So this is the new one that the previous owner got installed because they thought it was the valve that was the problem. He kept the old one, and I'm just going to measure resistance on them. 22, 20, that's about the same. 39, 46, it's about the same. It's higher on the new one. 32. 19. Okay, so the resistance are almost the same, but slightly higher on the new one, so I doubt that's the problem. So I'm just measuring the connector to see if there is a short in that one. Nope. So that doesn't seem to be the problem either. I just cannot really seem to find a problem, so I'm back to thinking that something went wrong in the previous video. I didn't, if you remember, I can't even remember how much I showed in the video, but when I fired it up, it actually worked. Then it stopped working. Then I started to mess around with the valve. I even tested another valve that I had lying around. I can't remember if I showed that in the video, but at some point it started to smoke from this one. So there is a chance that I actually shorted it out with a bad valve or something else. I just don't know. I think I'm going to chance it and try to connect it and see what happens. Could be a mistake, but there is three outcomes. One outcome is it works, everything is fine. Yoo-hoo! Another one is it burns, and I can remove it again and just use the car as before. And the worst that can happen is that I destroy the entire ECU, and then the car won't be able to drive before I get another one. Yeah, there's also the possibility that I burn my entire house down, but let's not go down that road. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to see what happens. I'm just gonna remove the spring that keeps the connector attached. That way I can rip it out really quickly. Maybe that's nice to be able to do in case something burns. Whoop. firstly I need to fit it into that thing right there. So now I'm going to start it up again, and I'm going to keep an eye out for this one. I don't think I can react fast enough to do anything about it if it burns, but I would have to switch the car off, of course, and blow the fire out if anything, if that comes. And then, yeah, let's try. I'm going to turn on my extractor and turn the key. Yeah, the thing is, I think the car wants a bit of throttle, but I don't dare to sit in the car to give it some throttle. Oh, it's probably because this one is still attached, of course. I was expecting it to start better with the valve in function, but not with this one still attached. Let's try again. I do get quite a bit of smoke around the turbo. What's that all about? It's got to be some kind of exhaust leak. Okay, I'm gonna chance it. It doesn't feel hot, so I'm just gonna try to give it some throttle just to start it up. Well, it's not idling as it is supposed to, so something tells me that it's probably not working. I'm just going to try to keep it on the throttle for a bit. It's idling very low. And it's not burning just yet. I wonder if it's doing anything. I don't think it is. What if the valve is defective? I've got a kind of a déjà vu feeling because now I'm starting to mess with the valves. I think that was what made it go wrong last time. It's not controlling anything. I'm surprised that the idle is so low. It's probably because the valve is shut currently. Nope. Yeah, it doesn't seem to work, in short. Okay, so it didn't really work out once again. Nothing has changed. It can't idle. It doesn't adjust anything. But the good thing is nothing catched fire this time. Oh, great success, but still something is pretty bad. So this is actually a couple of days later, and I took the liberty to actually continue this off camera. If you follow me on Instagram, there is a link down below. You will see that a couple of days back I posted a small video in there where I listened to jazz sitting inside my cozy home and taking my time with a cup of coffee and looking this one over once again. What I ended up doing was to remove the IC that I installed just before, in this video at least. That was the upgraded one, the one that's supposed to be a little more sturdy. Now I won't know if that actually worked, if everything was fine, because it destroyed itself when I took it off. I had to bite off the prongs to get it out. There is a lot of prongs going in there, and it's difficult to remove it without destroying it. So I have now put in one of the right ones, the one that I put in the first time that burned. But I also took my time with a magnifying glass to really look everything over, clean it up. I have learned so much from this experience. I am now a lot better at soldering. I have destroyed a lot around the connections on this print board from lack of experience. I have now put in a new IC and it's the 4th one, and I don't think I have any more chances. If I were to start all over on a fresh print board, I would probably be able to do this 10 times before getting any issues, because I have gotten a lot of experience. That is great. But what I found was 2 very, very small lines going to the prongs that looked suspicious. And I'm going to take you closer to try to show you what I have done. And then we're going to test if it works. Firstly, I spent ages with my multimeter trying to figure out what goes where and mapping it out a little bit. That took a long time. Then I saw a very small strain, or you can see those small green lines down there. That's connections. There are very, very small versions of that. And one of them went into this one, but underneath here and up to this point, it turned out that that connection wasn't completed. It was just completely open when I measured on that point and that point. So I ended up putting a small strain of copper wire from where I could catch a good connection and put it onto that prong. And it turned out to be the same case on this one. There is this connection, small connection that goes down here, up there, and up here, and then in. That one was also iffy up here. It was hard to see. What I did with that, because I just couldn't, I saw that problem when I already soldered this one in, and I didn't dare to take it out again. So I tried to get the connection in there, but that didn't really succeed. So what I ended up doing, and brace yourself, especially you guys who knows about this kind of stuff, you will probably think that this is a horrible repair. But I put a small wire from there to there that now makes the circuit complete. And I also tested, by the way, that this is not too big to stay in here. It doesn't short on the casing or anything. Now all the connections that I have found on this print board seems to work. The valve is supposed to get 12 volts, and then 23 and 24 on this one is supposed to control it. I think all the connections are now complete. Whether that is going to be a good thing, I don't know. It could mean that it will just burn straight away. I also, by the way, checked the wires on the car. There is no short in that, and it is complete all the way to the connector up here. So I don't think anything is wrong with that part of it. This is going to be the last attempt with this box. If it doesn't work, then I'm going to unsolder that, remove it in case, just to not short it out. And then I'm going to use the car as I did before with that clamp on. But let's try this. So I'm just going to loosely fit this one like this. I got the old valve in place currently. I'm going to put on some power. Turn on the extractor fan. And then let's see what happens. Hopefully no fires. Oh, it is definitely controlling something this time. It just dropped the idle and it's not on fire. Okay, so this actually seems to work. Now it's just a matter of seeing if it burns out. But it's controlling the idle, because before, if I gave it some throttle, it would just die when it was cold. It is now catching. Is it actually working? I think it is. This is definitely a controlled idle. I can hear it change. It definitely could not stay at idle before without this valve being cut off and the hose clamped onto it. I think it works. Yeah, it's catching itself. It would stumble before when it was cold. And it's not burning. I think I actually fixed it. Whether this is going to be a long-term repair, I don't know, because of course those small repairs that I have done is probably not going to be as vibration as vibration resistant as the original setup, but it works. I am still going to try to find an ECU to have as a spare, but right now I don't need one. This is a smooth idle, and it's not a high idle like it was before. And it's not burning. I think I fixed it. Oh, that's nice. Sadly though, I am getting this car ready for sale. Actually, I want to give it a fresh MOT, and I want to fix some small minor stuff on it before that. But I'm not sure that I can afford to keep this car currently. The YouTubing is not turning around a lot of cash, so I will probably have to sell a couple of my cars, and it's definitely the running ones that are worth the most. But it's going to hurt because this car is proper cool, that's for sure. And now it seems to work. Very smooth engine also. Anyway, thank you for watching. Great success. I'm sorry to all you guys who know about this stuff that it's probably going to look a little bit butchered, but I'm learning. I have gotten, I think, 100 times better at working on electronic equipment from this experience, and that's what I like. I could have sent this off to a professional shop, but then I wouldn't have honed my skills, and this is all about learning how to do stuff yourself using your own hands. That is what I like to do. That is the reason why I do this, and I think it's important. Anyway, thank you for watching. Don't forget you can support me on Patreon. There's a link down below, and see you in the next one.